My father demanded a DNA test for my grandfather's inheritance. I couldn't believe he was being so paranoid about something that should have been automatic. My grandfather Trevor had always treated me like his own grandson since I was 3 years old, after my dad married my mom. But now that Trevor was gone and left me $50,000 in his will, my dad was suddenly questioning everything. Dad cornered me in the kitchen while I was making a peanut butter sandwich for lunch. Something doesn't add up here, Kevin. Why would he leave you money and not mention me at all? He was gripping his coffee mug so tight his knuckles were white. We're getting that DNA test done this week. I want to know the truth. I just stared at him. This was the same man who forgot to pick me up from school half the time when I was younger. The same guy who missed every single baseball game because he was too busy watching sports on TV. Meanwhile, my grandfather was the one who taught me how to ride a bike, helped with homework every Tuesday night, and took me fishing every summer at Lake Morrison. Fine, whatever, I said, trying to sound like I didn't care. But honestly, it stung. After 18 years, he was still treating me like some random kid who didn't belong in the family. We went to one of those strip mall DNA places on Friday afternoon. The whole car ride there was awkward silence, except for his radio playing the same 3 country songs on repeat. The lab tech was this bored-looking woman who made us spit into plastic tubes and told us results would be ready in 10 days. Those 10 days felt like forever. Mom kept giving me these sympathetic looks across the dinner table, and Dad was acting all smug like he was about to prove some big conspiracy theory. He even started making comments about how I never really looked like family anyway, and how my brown eyes were different from everyone else's blue ones. The results came back on a Thursday morning. Dad ripped open the envelope at the kitchen table while I was eating cereal. I watched his face go from confident to confused to absolutely mortified in about 15 seconds. "What does it say?" I asked, even though his expression already told me everything. He cleared his throat and read it again, probably hoping the words would change. It says there's a 99.7% probability that you're my biological son." His voice cracked on the word son. I almost choked on my Lucky Charms. "Wait, what? Your biological son? But Mom said you adopted me when you married her." Mom walked in just then, took one look at the paper, and sat down hard in her chair. "Oh no," she whispered. Turns out my mom and dad had a secret relationship years before they officially got together. She got pregnant with me when she was 19, but they weren't ready for commitment back then. So she moved away, had me, and let everyone think I was someone else's kid. When they reconnected and got married 3 years later, they decided to keep the adoption story going because it seemed easier than explaining the truth. My grandfather knew the whole time. He'd figured it out from family photos and never said anything, just quietly made sure I was included in everything. The inheritance wasn't some random act of kindness, it was a grandfather taking care of his actual grandson. Dad was sitting there looking like someone had punched him in the gut. "I've been treating my own son like—" He couldn't even finish the sentence. The kicker? 2 days later, we found out that my grandfather had left Dad $75,000 too, but his lawyer had been waiting until after my 18th birthday to tell him. There was even a letter that said, "Maybe now you'll both figure out what I've known all along." Dad tried to make things right after that, but honestly, it was too little too late. I used my inheritance to pay for college applications and moved out the day after graduation.